Hello, everyone, and welcome to CSET Podcast, where we are tuning in on radio on CAPS Radio KPPQLP Ventura, tuning in at 104.1 FM, and on CAPS Public Access throughout Ventura County. And if you're online, you can find us on YouTube on the channel CSET Podcast, where we focus on social justice, culture, and great things that are happening here in Ventura County. Kim, tell us a little bit about our guest today.
So right now we have with us Miss Karen Scher, or actually Dr. Karen Scher.
In a couple of weeks, yes.
Yeah, she just defended her dissertation.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
She is a Oxnard Union High School District School Board member. She is a teacher in the Oxnard Elementary School District. She's currently on special assignment working for the State Superintendent of Schools, Tony Thurmond, on teacher recruitment.
Yes.
And a
Wonderful.
community leader and activist as well.
Well, thank you for being our guest today. You've been really busy lately. Tell us some of the work that you've been doing lately.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome.
And to Dr. Stevenson for the lovely introduction. Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Karen Scher, and I currently serve as the board president of the Oxnard Union High School District, which covers Oxnard, Camarillo, Port Hueneme, El Rio, the Santa Rosa Valley, and 2 naval bases. So, and I'm a 30-year public school teacher, and currently on special assignment, as Dr. Stevenson said. I work on promoting pathways and pipelines for people of all ages and stages to find places in classrooms as public school teachers and also mental health school counselors. We work with the Golden State Teacher Grant, with the California Volunteers, which is like the Peace Corps. It's for the state of California, but it's actually larger than the United States Peace Corps. Yes. And so we do a lot of work with students that are working to become teachers.
Keep the conversation going.
And so, one of the things that Dr. Stevenson, Kim, and I have in common is that we're mothers, we're both teachers, we're both activists in our community, working on all sorts of things to uplift children and families in the community. Because, I have always said, for as long as I've been a teacher, for sure, and as an elected official, that, I believe 3 things are especially true. One is that public education is the underpinning of our democracy. 2 is that teachers and school communities make every other profession possible. And 3 is that every child, and I mean every child, deserves the opportunity for a powerful future.
Yes.
And so exactly how did you both start working together?
I don't remember where we first met. Do you?
I remember it was in the parking lot of Pacifica High School was our first conversation.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Just like board member to teacher or what?
I think, I don't remember what year it was, but we bonded immediately over having daughters at around the same age. Mine are a couple years younger than yours, but, really working on ways to uplift, not just what happens in our community, but to really uplift and support each other. Yes. And your work at the UN. I remember we had that conversation, and that conversation for you continues to this day, where, I want to say thank you on behalf of, the Oxnard Union High School District, because the students that you took to the UN are from our district.
Oh, yeah.
So Team OUHSD. And so I think, our relationship evolved as a board member and as you were principal of Camarillo High School, and then one of our most wonderful and famous teachers at Oxnard Middle College High School, which is such a special place.
It is.
And, we have students that graduate from community college with a degree, sometimes more than one AA, before they graduate from high school.
Right.
Definitely.
Let me talk about that, because I didn't talk about that earlier when we had the students here, and it is an unusual program. It's a full-time dual enrollment program, so our kids are with us full-time. They don't come like independent study. It's not like they're partly online, partly in the classroom. They come for a full day of school every day, but some of their periods during the day are on the high school part of campus, and some of them are on the Oxnard Community College part of campus. And we have a little high school campus on the Oxnard Community College campus. So they just walk a little further to get to those classes. And those classes are somewhat structured where they all take the same ones at some points, and then they start to branch off as they get closer to their senior year. But it's a very special program. Our kids are amazing. They're motivated, they're kind, and they do amazing things and go off to do amazing things in their futures. As I talked about this morning, we have students at all the UC campuses across the state, in some private schools and some local schools. I mean, they just go off to do amazing work and travel too. We have one that is traveled to as part of, she did some study abroad. She went to Korea. She went to Costa Rica. We have another one who was recently in Spain. So they're really branching out and doing things that they might not have considered a few years ago. Yeah. And these are South Oxnard kids too. These are kids, you know, farm worker families, laborer families, mostly low income. And it's a choice school, so they apply. But they're just amazing kids. What they don't get at our school is the big stuff. Yeah. Right? Because we're very small. We have a max of 200, more or less. But so we don't have the large band programs or sports programs, things like that. But they can try, if they can get their own transportation, to do those at their home schools. But it's a little tricky. And they're very academically focused because they have to take college and high school at the same time.
I wanted to ask you a question. I'm pretty sure we have a lot of people who are listening who are teachers, educators. What are some of the hardships? You both have been working as teachers for a long time, meaning that you have a lot of experience knowing the needs of teachers. Can you share some of those needs and ways that we could continue supporting, educational teachers?
Well, one thing that Karen and I have both in common is that we both work at the state level recently with State Superintendent Tony Thurmond on different things. Karen works in teacher recruitment, and I was recently on the statewide LGBTQ task force. Yes. So definitely one thing that came up for me on this task force, even though our mission was to write a report to advise the state superintendent on how to support our LGBTQ students, one thing that was crystal clear to me in our discussions was the needs of staff. Was that our staff is dealing with the same issues as our LGBTQ students. So LGBTQ teachers feel very threatened. They feel like, they could lose their job at any moment for not a great reason, that they may not feel protected, that they do get bullied by other staff members and teachers and students and parents in ways that the students in our systems sometimes feel. They may not have access to facilities that they'd like to use or feel free to wear the clothes they'd like to wear. So they feel just as threatened as our students sometimes. So, a happy teacher is also a happy student. So this wasn't the primary focus of our report, but it definitely is an issue that if we want to support students, we also need to model that kind of support for the adults in the room as well. So for me, when you ask me, how can we support students, our LGBTQ teacher and staff population really could use some reform and protection as well. That's one thing that came up for me that was kind of an extra as a part of that. And just to say, we were 32 people on this task force statewide, very diverse, representing all regions of the state of California, as well as all demographics. We had LGBTQ students, we had teachers, a lot of students, a lot of teachers, we had administrators, we had people working in support, like psychological support, wellness support. We had advocates, and we had someone from the health, I forget what the department's called in the state of California, but somebody who works in like the health part of that to help provide those services. So it was a very diverse and amazingly smart and collaborative group of people. And we put together a very nice report that's available at the state superintendent's website. Yeah. And then Karen works on teacher recruitment, and I know she knows a lot about what teachers need to be able to work as a teacher in the state of California.
Yes. Well, and thank you for your devotion, of course, to our students and our families and school communities. one of the things that I worked on over the years with Superintendent Thurmond, and I do want to give a shout out to State Superintendent Tony Thurmond and his work to always uplift and support not only the professional educators and staff members that work with kids every day, but to support kids who come from diverse populations. And, I know that one of the proudest moments of his career was when he went to speak at a school board meeting and on behalf of students when they had on their board agenda an outing policy. And as state superintendent as a parent, he went to that board meeting and he was escorted out by 5 police officers. And he is the state superintendent. So really just so grateful to him for his dedication. He is the first and only state constitutional officer to fly the Progress Pride flag over a state building. He's still the only and first and only to do that. And I was so proud to take his work and bring it to the Oxnard Union High School District, where we, depending on the timestamp, we were the first in the United States, I am told, to fly the Progress Pride flag over each of our school sites, not only the district office, but at school sites. And that was just a beautiful thing. The first June 1st, I went to every single school in our district myself, drove around to make sure that was happening, and it was wonderful. And what I didn't realize at the time was that it's also graduation season. And so when we have all of our communities and families on our campuses and that all of those flags flying, and really the community embracing it, we have such an incredibly supportive community. And I want to always give thanks to them for allowing me to do this work for 12 years. In addition, our mental health and wellness support services that Dr. Stevenson and I have worked on together. She actually was the first, as the principal of Camarillo High School, to establish a wellness center.
Wonderful.
And we took that district-wide, and we now have wellness centers.
It's been a model for
the state,
the whole state, and the country in a lot of ways too. It's amazing. I mean, we worked, when I was on this task force, we talked about how different districts are handling things, and a lot of the things that people wanted were things I could say we do. So we have,
I love that.
We have gender neutral bathrooms,
and I worked on that as a state as a state law.
A gender friendly, and equity friendly dress code. So we're less likely to dress code larger girls more than smaller girls, or ethnic girls more than non-ethnic girls, or transgender people more than non-transgender people. So it's a very equitable dress code, but still setting a standard.
I was so proud of that work.
Yeah, I mean, we've done so much.
Even
in our
one
district.
color cap and gowns. That was early on in about maybe 2016 or 17. And believe it or not, there was more pushback over one color cap and gowns than there was to the Progress Pride flag. And I really think that shows how far we've come. It was about 9 years apart from each other, 8 years apart.
Well, I think we'd already won that first battle. And so when the next one came up, it's kind of like... it is what it is.
Well, I think that when we also have educators and staff members across the county, and I'm so excited to be able to take this work countywide, is really teachers teaching teachers. So when you talk about the need of teachers who need support, the best support comes from other professional educators, not from consultants. And that's something that as a teacher I did with the Instructional Leadership Corps with Stanford University. We delivered professional development for over 150,000 teachers statewide. And then really bringing that home to the Oxnard Union High School District. And I wish the county had embraced that. Imagine where we would be 6 years later had we had places like that for teachers to really collaborate, because we're so autonomous, and this, as educators, teachers, we're so autonomous in our classrooms, but really the magic of teaching happens when we collaborate. And we discover from each other things that we say, oh, I can take that to my own classroom like tomorrow. And what an amazing idea. And so that's really the magic of teaching and uplifting the profession is being respectful of us as the most highly educated profession. All of us have, master's degrees to have permanent status in the state of California as a teacher. Essentially, you need to have a master's degree. Many of us have multiple. I have my doctorate. It's a long time coming, and so do you. And you were an inspiration for that. So that's really our work together has been over the years just so intertwined with the students, our community, our work to uplift, diverse populations, but those who need help and support, because we know that the students and families that need us the most are the hardest to find.
Yes.
And so I think that's where we have so much in common. And, I have so much love and gratitude for you and all the work that you do to support everyone, and excited to take that work to the county.
So once again, for those just tuning in, we're speaking to two educators, teachers here in Ventura County who have been doing amazing work, uplifting their careers and also helping others in the teaching profession. And so there's two things that I wanted to discuss. One of them was how are they doing? What are they doing to recruit more teachers? I know that you worked with unions, so that's a very honorable thing. Let's start with that one.
Okay.
If you could tell us a little bit of what's been done to help recruit teachers.
Sure. Well, thank you for the question. I have tackled this issue in multiple ways. I mentioned California Volunteers, and for those who are part of community colleges or some universities and state schools in California, go on the California Volunteers website, and you can find the opportunity to earn $10,000 scholarships by volunteering hours in the community and doing it in a way that you choose. So we have about 3,000 students who are not currently attached to a credential program, but who volunteer their time with kids and in schools. And so that's one of our pipelines to our future teachers, is really because that $10,000 scholarship can be braided with any other funding that a student receives. So that's a really exciting thing that we work on. We talk about the Golden State Teacher Grant, which is another $10,000 scholarship that students can apply for once they have been accepted into a credential program. That would offset they can braid it with other funding, and that would offset any debt that they might incur. And then, of course, we have the Teach Grant and other ways to help offset tuition. Most especially, and one of the things I'm so excited about is our teacher residency programs, apprenticeship programs, and internship programs. And essentially, they're all a little bit the same in that what they do is they pay student teachers while they're student teaching, so that it is a job for a student teacher, not like myself or for you, where we had to work full time for free and we had to pay our own tuition in order to do it.
I actually got into a school and got paid for it because
you were okay. So
because it was a mid-year thing. I started doing research in this classroom as a Stanford thing, and then the teacher got promoted to principal, and they needed a teacher. I needed to get my hours, and it worked out. They hired me.
Yeah,
but that wasn't normal.
These are embedded programs, right?
Yes.
So it is a stipend of $40,000 per student teacher. And so that goes to the school district, and it's an opportunity not only for student teachers to spend a whole year in a school or in a district, and so the administration and other teachers get to know them, but hopefully they stay, right?
Yes.
And then the last part is that, in California especially, but in many places in the country, what is referred to as a teacher shortage is not actually a teacher shortage. What it is an affordable housing shortage.
That was my second question, which we had been talking about that with Kim earlier. So tell us more about that, please.
So State Superintendent Tony Thurmond and the California School Board Association, along with Senior Policy Advisor to Superintendent Thurmond, Richard Barrera, heads up our Affordable Workforce Housing Work Group. Yeah. And from that group has come two pieces of legislation. One is Assembly Bill 1021, which was signed into law last October by Governor Newsom, and that expands the parameters around the financial brackets that someone can fall into to be able to apply for affordable housing, because as it stood, teachers, nurses, firefighters, we all made too much to apply for affordable housing, but not enough to be able to afford a home.
Correct.
So that was really exciting to have that work signed into law. And then the other is Assembly Bill 1381, which would create a revolving loan fund for local school districts to tap into for feasibility studies specifically. But ultimately, it is the California School Board Association website that anyone can visit to see that there is 75,000 square acres of land that is currently unused or unoccupied on school district property. And so what could we do with that? because we are a public institution, we do not have the same limitations that developers would have. We can essentially build anything we want. And if we built 30, I'm not sure of the exact number, but it's around 30 units per each of those square acres, we could, today, if we had the money, we could build 2.1 million units of affordable housing for teachers and staff.
Wow.
And so I also know that we don't need 2.1 million units of affordable housing for only teachers and staff.
Yeah.
And then who else gets to live there?
The support?
And so it's the firefighters, the nurses, the frontline workers, food service, long-term healthcare workers, preschool teachers, and local school districts that would decide who gets to live there. But then the really exciting thing that I just learned about is called community-based agreements.
Yes.
Or community-based initiatives, depending. But essentially, that would allow local school districts to write into their affordable housing the opportunity for recent graduates of a school district to live in that affordable housing. So that 18 to 25-year-old bracket right now that's living, a lot of them at home with their families still because they can't afford even rent. This would allow some of those people in that age bracket to have access to affordable housing. So it's really about leadership. It's really about, being brave enough to build partnerships and build teams to move this work, but it's already happening. You can look at Jefferson Union School District in South San Francisco as a great example.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everything that you are sharing today. Well, I'm just going to mention once again, you're listening to CAPS Radio, KPPQLP Ventura, where you can listen to us on 104.1 FM. And if you are watching us on TV, you're watching us through the CAPS public access channel. So we really want to thank the ability to be able to share this information with you. I hope many of you educators out there are getting inspired and feel supported, feel happy about all the hard work that everybody's doing behind the scenes to try to make, your jobs better and also to try to help the next generation of teachers.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you, both of you ladies, a question that is more focused on your support system. Because as we were talking with Dr. Kim earlier, and I'm pretty sure with all teachers out there, they're always working overtime, all these hours. I mean, today you're here on your own time, but it's also family time. And we're doing this because we wanted to spread, this important messaging. So I'm going to take a moment to step back and allow you to acknowledge who is your support system. We were talking about your husband earlier. So we want to mention that, your family, anybody that you want to mention that really has always kind of been a support system. Heck, I even heard the mention of our pets earlier.
Yes.
So I think all those
we're
things,
collaborating on that too.
I might have a new one in the wings.
Yeah. So I mean, this is gonna be our closing statement, but this is also kind of like a feel good statement and bringing it back to home base. So go ahead and acknowledge, mention, give thanks, however you want to start with that conversation, and we'll finish it off with
that's a fun question because we don't
Yes.
get asked that very often. But of course, I have my family, my husband and my two daughters who, through the work that they do and the support they give. Yesterday, my husband, he's an introvert. He doesn't like doing all this public stuff, but he was out there yesterday at two events we had at our house. He, I'm here all day today working with you, and he's taking care of things at home, including the puppy. He's just an amazing support. My two girls, through the work that they continue to do, having grown up on the laps of women in this county, their whole life, they continue the work. One's working in the sexual health education program at Berkeley. One of them is now a licensed therapist doing work in a facility for people with head trauma. So, I mean, they're doing great work, and I'm so proud of that. And then I've got my mom who was there. She made brownies and cookies for these events I had yesterday. And, when I've taken on things, she shows up and she supports as well and listens to people. Yesterday, she listened to one of my former students for a long time before we got started. She's just been a great support. And then, my community, the people that we saw today and the different podcasts we did, those are the people that I feel like we've created, we've created coalitions that did not exist 20 years ago when I started this work, when I came back from college and started this work as an adult. It's just been amazing how solidarity and collaboration and coalition has really become the way we see move things forward. And so there are people in this community that I value their opinions, I value their values, I can trust them, I can call on them. Today I made some phone calls and we ended up pulling off 3 or 4 more podcasts today,
like
because we just know each other and we know that we'll show up for each other. So that's a huge support,
definitely,
for me. So yeah, family, my friends are my coalition friends. I gotta be honest. Like, I don't have a lot of like friendly friends. We're all just hardworking people.
We're all working together.
Yeah. And then of course I gotta say, my students, you saw the glow on my face today when I was here with them, and
very proud.
Just how much pride and gratification I get seeing them being productive out in the world and coming back to me and sharing what they're doing and continuing the work that we've talked about, using the language of our classroom. It's just, that to me is everything. It's like building that future. That's why I do all of it. And to have them actually make it come true, that's a dream. So that's where I get my stuff. So thank you to all of those people.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes. And Karen.
I'm going to start where you ended with students. And, how many times have we said to a student, like, you are my dream come true, right? One of my students is a director at one of our welcome centers. He was my 7th grade student. One of my former students in 7th grade is the director of one of our Upward Bound programs. And I cannot tell you, how many students, former students, my own children, my children's friends that, have all gone to, through schools in public school here in Ventura County, how many times I've been able to hand out diplomas as a trustee, and how gratifying that is, what a rewarding experience that is. And so again, shout out to all the students who are the reason why we do all of this. Of course, my support system, I have 3 children. My 2 girls are now in college, one studying food science at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. The other is a stunt athlete at Cal Baptist University. She was signed to the D1 national championship team. And so, what a dream come true. My son goes to Rancho Campana High School. He's a musician, and really nurturing that craft and having every opportunity to do that and still focus on academics. Really, the idea is that there's a pathway and a program for every child to have their needs met so that they can succeed and be college ready and career prepared. And so inspirations, I always, as Kim was speaking, I was thinking, and I know you're going to shake your head, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who said that, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way where others will join you. And I think that's where we intersect in so many ways. My inspiration, many of your listeners, I'm sure, will remember the late supervisor, Carmen Ramirez, our beloved Carmen.
Yes.
And she was a mentor of mine. And of course, Dr. Stevenson's as well. Every activist in this community, she somehow had her hands there too.
Definitely.
And, we carry that memory with us. I think about her all the time. As I finished my doctorate, I included an acknowledgement to her and her spirit and how I keep her with me at every table I'm at. And so I think that really keeping those women who have come before us with us at the same time, that's something that Kim and I talk about a lot. So of course, my family, my pets, my mom,
Yes.
I have a sister and brother,
Yes.
and my teacher peeps as well, because, there's just nothing like that, like teacher best friend that you really, work with and for and rely on.
Yeah. And we all have different specialties. You can go to this one to help you with the technology. You go to that one for, I just need a moment. Can you help me out? I need an adult time. I need some adult time. Can I come and hang out in your room and be with an adult for a few minutes? We do. Teachers, we commiserate a lot.
Yes.
Not in a negative way, but just we need each other.
We help each other.
We
We are each other's support systems.
Definitely.
For sure. So shout out to all of them.
You know what you didn't say, which I love that you said yesterday? I heard you say yesterday, is that your passion for affordability for teachers comes from your lived experience.
Oh, yes.
Talk about that for
Yeah,
a second.
so affordable housing, I live that life, affordable housing for teachers and staff. So I was pregnant with my second daughter. So in 2005, I had the good fortune to be able to buy my own home behind the Cal State Channel Islands.
Yeah.
So it was built as affordable housing for faculty,
Correct.
right? And then it was open to other teachers in the county. And I was very fortunate to be able to buy my own home. And as a single mother of 3 children, to be able to keep my children safe and happy and close to where they live. Close to where they go to school and where I work.
Yes.
Has allowed them to, go through. I mean, divorce is traumatic in the best of circumstances, and for so many of our families, we know that one of the most detrimental factors in a child's education is dual households. And so for my children to be able to have a stable environment where they, were not traumatized yet again, right?
Yeah.
By having to move, that has allowed them, I truly believe, to be grounded and prepared and great students and able to manage their emotions, right? Because I was able to afford my own home as a teacher in Ventura County, right? And how that has impacted me, and it really drives where I will go. I heard Monique Lamone say when she was sworn in, I was so fortunate to attend her swearing in Santa Barbara, and she said that that where she is going, it depends on where she's been. And I feel that in my heart, that we've been here as teachers, we've been here as mothers, as community activists, as leaders, people who are passionate about every child having the opportunity for a powerful future, and that public education is the underpinning of our democracy. And those things really move us every day and keep us grounded and together. And that's how, more than a decade later, we're still in this, still fighting this fight. And not only that, but going forward, making a difference and continuing to be students ourselves. I mean, look no further than Dr. Stevenson going to the United Nations, and what an incredible experience, not only for the students but for her.
Yeah, expanding at 56
and being a learner, right? And I heard you talk about like how many people that you were able to meet and talk with that you never had any. Who would have imagined in your wildest dreams that you'd be doing this, right?
And I do want to acknowledge our pets.
Yes.
And there's a cute
Of
story
course.
there. So one support I do get is sometimes, I mean, I'm kind of a sucker when I get the bat call from Paw Works, which is a local nonprofit organization that rescues animals. For a while they were there, they were bringing in about 80 pets from Kern County a week to prevent them from being killed. And they take all the pets they can. So I'm one of their fosters.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's just I get the email and I'm like, oh, how can I not do this, right? But right now I have a little puppy, and it's also, not only is it to help with the organization, but it's also puppy time for me.
Yeah.
So when my teenage kids or college age kids or kind of getting on our nerves or, kind of putting us down, I can still go back to the baby time and have the little puppies. And Kara and I were just talking about this before this podcast because she met the little one I have right now, Vega. She's this adorable. She's just under 2 pounds. She's teeny. She was being bullied by her siblings, and so she needed to be separated from the group, and so I have her and have to give her medicine because she started having seizures because she was being bullied, and like she's getting spoiled now because how could you not spoil someone who'd been bullied and so teeny? And so she's living in my bathtub because she's so small. It's like a suite for her, and as she gets her shots and things, I'll be able to socialize her more and more. But she met a lot of people at those events at my house yesterday. Just everybody had to sanitize and had to be very careful.
Yeah.
And Karen's thinking about adopting her.
I think I have dibs on Vega, just for everyone listening who's interested. I think I have dibs on her. But I think, that the subject of animals is actually, of course, very close to home. That's something I've always had animals in my life, and so fortunate. But I've always been an advocate for having animals on campuses. And, back in 2014, I cannot tell you the crazy looks that I got when I would say we should have some support animals here. And I'm so proud of the fact that we have so many opportunities now for kids to interact with animals of all kinds. At Channel Islands High School, they had goat yoga.
Nice.
They have yes, and also they have actually at the same school they have their emotional support dog. His name is Maslow,
Yeah.
as in Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
That is so important.
That's so
The
cute.
idea of emotional support, and also for the stress. I've heard that they do that at university when they're going through finals and stuff. They help with the stress.
And one thing we started doing at Camarillo when I was there,
Mhm.
we had the agricultural program, but what we added was training dogs.
Mhm.
And it was very strange to the community at first. Like, what about kids who have allergies? And what about this and that? And they were very nervous, but we
There's more
started doing it.
benefits.
And now it's so common to see support animals and service animals. So we were ahead of the game. We made it happen, and we expanded our agricultural program to that kind of work as well.
So important
yeah.
for the of course the animals, but so important for the kids to have that sense of responsibility. They develop not only skills but bonds of love that are really important. And post-COVID, everyone says that there's this thing called learning loss. I believe that that's a made-up term that is by textbook companies to sell more stuff.
Yeah.
I think ultimately teachers meet students where they are every single day.
Yeah.
And so when we're thinking about post-COVID, though, it's really about the emotional support and maybe some of those emotional skills that were missed in whatever grades they missed. And so it's the socialization piece. And I think that, animals create such, they take down that affective filter is essentially what teachers call it. And that makes it more, it makes learning more approachable in many ways. And so I think grounds. And I think that it's also a reason to come to school.
Yeah.
For some kids.
Oh, yeah.
Just to have the opportunity to check in with the animals or see them. It's a reason to come to school.
Especially if they can't have pets at home.
Mm-hmm. And so, again, it's really just about providing students opportunities to be happy and feel successful on campuses in lots of different programs and pathways. In the Oxnard Union High School District, we have about 72, I think at the last count, academies and pathways for students to choose from. We have labor and apprenticeship pathways. We have medical academies. We have robotics. We have engineering. We have the drag program where it's an after-school program, but the kids are rebuilding cars and then donating them.
Right.
I mean, the statistics say that if a student is involved in at least one after-school activity,
It's
that
true. Yeah, I've heard it.
their dropout rate decreases by 40%.
Yes.
And if they're involved in two or more, their dropout rate is virtually zero.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So it's really about just providing opportunities. And community schools is a $9 billion grant that covers 25 campuses in the state of California. And under my leadership, we have 2 of those grants in South Oxnard. But every child in the county, every child in the state should have access to mental health supports and services, to food every single day, to highly qualified, highly paid, happy, healthy, safe teachers. Because the most important factor in a student's success, no matter what language they speak, how much money they have, where they come from, anything, the most important thing is a highly qualified, happy teacher.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And gosh, we're pretty much at the end of our podcast for today. I really want to thank you both, but I'm gonna say let's leave some last words of acknowledgement, support to all the teachers in Ventura County. I know that sometimes they don't hear it enough, but from both of you who have been in the field for so long, how would you thank the teachers and the educators of our county?
I say we feel you every day in our leadership and in what we do. We know that you're working hard. We know that you care. We know that you have skills. We know that you don't get the recognition you need. And we feel that too, but we also I want to offer that to you. I want to open my heart to you right now and say, I see you, I feel you, and I admire you and I respect you and all that the training you have and the work you do every day with the kids that you work with. And hopefully you see the light bulbs go off in your classroom. Hopefully you see the kids come back and say thank you, or hopefully that parent comes back and says, wow, you were the first. I had this happen once. Made me cry. But she's, this parent, it was my first year teaching, and it was a family that had this reputation of being very difficult. And I did some special things with their child who was challenging. And at the end, at the parent conference, the parent said to me, you are the first teacher that has ever talked about my kids with respect. And this was their youngest of 3 or 4 kids. And that to me was like, that was such a moment where it just told me I was doing something right, even though that was your first year of teaching is, your first 3-4 years of teaching is really challenging. We've been there. We see you. We love you, teachers. We love you and all you're doing for your kids. And hopefully you get those things back from them and their families and your family and other teachers and hopefully your administration and everybody else too. And your board. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I love that. Thank you for all of that. And I know I said earlier, but again, shout out to all the teachers and school communities because you literally make every other profession possible. So that is first and foremost. And, in the United States, unlike other countries, we educate every child. And so high stakes testing is not the end all be all. High stakes testing is not a reflection of how intelligent someone is. It's a reflection of how they're doing on a specific day. And so really, my heart goes out, of course, to all the teachers and thank you for all you do. I actually wrote my dissertation on the impact of public school teachers who serve on school boards. So I want to give a plug for teachers who are activists, who are engaged in their community, who see a need for change. It's not possible for teachers to serve on their own school board. That would be a conflict of interest, of course. But it is possible for teachers to serve on school boards in districts where they live, but they don't work. So that's how I serve on a school board. And so I think it's such an incredible, meaningful experience. Running for office is not something that teachers are often asked or even expected to do. And I believe in 2020, I think it was that year, over 500 teachers across the United States were elected to office. And so I just want to encourage those teachers out there that have the opportunity or the ability to run for school board. It is so important in so many ways. Most specifically, we have our boots on the ground. Nobody knows better than us what students and teachers and school communities need because we know that teacher working conditions are student learning conditions. So I think, that's first and foremost. And then, there are ways to develop pipelines and pathways for teachers to become board members. But the other and last finding that I wrote about, which is the closest to my heart, is that, teachers don't stop being a teacher when they enter a different room.
Yes.
So when I'm a teacher and I enter the school board dais, I am still that teacher, but there's also a student trustee on the dais with me.
Yes.
And so that relationship between a teacher trustee and a student trustee is so incredibly impactful and important. And really thinking about building our bench of future leaders and how it really does stem, I believe, it could stem and should stem from those student trustees and really working on building that future for them so that they continue to run for office, continue to serve their community, to have mentors, I think it will have the greatest impact on the future. So,
and I can say,
yes,
Karen, having been one of the trustees of the school district that I work in, that we teachers, and I was a union rep, I was a representative of the Oxnard Federation of Teachers and School Employees, and we felt her presence on the board. There were moments that things were very difficult, and we could feel her heart was with us, and we could feel her bravery in standing up for us when other trustees didn't. They're good people. I know them in the community, but they didn't have the heart for teaching that Karen demonstrated and she stood up for. So not only did she feel it, but she spoke to that and took risks with her own I don't know, status on the board or
All
community,
politics are
all of
local.
it. Yeah, politics.
Mm.
And but she did it anyways. And ultimately, she was proven right by other boards that found that the wrongs were wrong and Karen was right.
Mm.
She understands the field and she does the right thing as a board member. And I think that is because she is a mom and a teacher and all these other things we've talked about. So
hopefully there's lots more out there. And if you're interested,
Yeah.
contact us and,
Yes.
we'll help get you on a path. The National Education Association has a wonderful organization called Run to Win,
Yes.
specifically for teachers.
Yes.
So please, if you're interested anywhere in the United States, that's a great place to start. If you're in the state of California, your labor union, I hope will be really, we've done a great job at electing teachers to all different kinds of offices. And I'm so proud to have helped elect many teachers to school board positions across the state. So more than likely there's one near you. And we're happy to help you on your journey to elected office.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much both for making our one last podcast of today a very special one. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all the hard work you've put into your careers, but also into all the different students' lives that you've influenced and helped them take their careers to the next level. You're two very special people, and I really want to thank you for being on our podcast, CISA podcast today.
Right back at you, Julio.
Thank
you are
you
also
so much.
special, and thank you for this very
And
much.
I want to thank my teachers for helping me get into this space, and also my family. So, CISA Puede, CISA podcast. We'll catch you the next time. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, go ahead and reach out to us. Please share, subscribe, and keep supporting our local teachers, educators, and everybody in between. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
All done?
All done.
All right.